But now, I ain't got nothing to prove to nobody or even myself other than want to do my best every time I rope.
This is Chelsea Schaefer, and this is Season 4 of The Score. You all have listened to this podcast 750,000 times, and we are here in Season 4 to bring you even more of what you love. So, this episode started out like this. I figured I'd call a bunch of different guys and ask them about a time that their mental games failed them. I started with Derrick Begay because I so value his opinion about nearly everything in life, and because I know how much this audience loves him. Well, an hour and a half and 2 phone calls later, I didn't really need to call anyone else for this podcast. Don't worry, I'll probably go back and revisit the whole topic with a lot of different people. But it's been a while since I caught up with Begay, and this episode helps me take a deep dive into his psyche for all of you. In true Derrick fashion, he wanted this to be good, and he wanted what he had to say to be helpful for the bulk of ropers out there. So we spent a lot of time talking through his mental strategy, and I'm hoping there might be some nuggets of truth in here that help get you down the road yourselves. Hey, before we get started on this episode, I want you to know it is brought to you by Manna Pro. Check them out at mannapro.com, nurturing life for generations. I was thinking that we could do something on, mental strategy sounds like a super lame topic, but I was thinking on a time, if you could tell me a story of a time where your mental game really let you down, like as in when you choked. And if you could tell me about it.
Like when confidence is a liar?
Yeah, when you thought you had it together and you didn't. Like, is there a time that you can remember?
Every time I mess up. I don't ever think there's really a time that I can remember, because in most cases, in most scenarios, I'm pretty realistic about winning and losing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I expect myself to do the best I can, but I don't expect myself to win. So I dang sure plan on winning and want to win and try my hardest to win, but if I don't, mm-hmm. It's not a big letdown, or I'm not surprised that it worked out. It is really hard, though, when you put everything you like time, mm-hmm. practice all week or 2 weeks, putting all the money, go over there, and you also have a partner involved that has the same time and money and everything you got into it, then he does too, so it's double everything. And you go out there and you miss, or your horse messes up, or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of scenarios, and it is a big letdown. It's like, dang, I did that all week and tried my hardest and did that. And
yeah.
It is a big letdown. That's probably one of the hardest things, is to swallow that and go practice again and try it on the next week.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm not going to, you can tell me to shut up, but what about, the day of the George Strait? What were you thinking? How did you mentally prepare yourself for that, and how did it not work out?
George Strait, I don't remember what year it was, but we come back high call. Me and Corey Petska were the last team to rope, and we had to be under, I don't know what the time was, to win trucks and trailers and a lot of money. Last team out, and it was all basically up to me because I'm the header, so I got to turn and steer. But it's been so long ago, I really don't really remember the mental part about mm-hmm. what I was thinking before that run. So, shoot.
But your mental strategy is, I think I've been around you enough to know, like, you do get nervous. You do. I don't know if nervous is the right word, but
Yeah, it is the right word, because I get nervous every time.
Yeah.
Every time I go anywhere. I went to a little timed event rodeo this past weekend, and still get nervous.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's always been there, and it's always going to be there. So I still do get nervous, but I think there's two types. There's kind of like, I don't know, not sure, unnervous, and then there's also that kind of confident nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But when
you're nervous, are you running scenarios through your brain, or are you just like running scenarios like, oh my gosh, if that steer doesn't start, I'm gonna have to pull, and this is gonna happen, or if that steer really tries and I get outrun, like, are you running things that are gonna happen through your head when you're nervous, or are you just more generally excited for it to happen?
On the scenario part, no, I don't really do the scenario deal, because there's already so many things that could happen or that's going to happen. I don't really try to think about what I think's probably going to happen, this and that. I try to keep it pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I ride in the box, just kind of make sure everything's ready. Back in there and just kind of feel what my horse is feeling like. And the main thing for me is just the barrier of the start. However, that's where she can, for me, if I can get a very good start, after that, things come together a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the George Strait, I can remember I did miss the barrier a little bit. I was late a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Steer kind of tried a little bit, and so I started off a little bit behind. And I remember, like, okay, you're a little bit late. Don't panic. Just maybe take your time. I'm probably going to have to take one more swing than I was probably planning on.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a little bit late on the barrier, and that steer was just a little bit farther out from where I kind of wanted him, if I remember right. And I think the reason I missed, if I remember right, was just because I was almost racing against time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody wants to win that rope, and nobody really wants to win second. So winning first definitely was on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I did maybe kind of was roping against time there, and I think that's why I missed. I think I wasn't really in the spot where I was wanting to be, and steer kind of come left a little bit, and I threw it way over to the right.
Has your mental game gotten better over the years? Are you just kind of the same?
I think it's gotten better. Well, I don't know about better, but I've gotten older, and I guess this ain't going to sound right the way I'm going to say it, because I kind of don't have that don't care attitude now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care what people think if I miss, or what it looked like, or what I did wrong or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're younger and you're coming up and you want to do good for your partner or impress the other guys or feel like people's watching you and stuff like that, there's maybe you kind of get to thinking about that. But now I ain't got nothing to prove to nobody or even myself, other than want to do my best every time I rope. So to me, it's gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten better at having the no care attitude in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I just go out there and miss and laugh about it. I mean, I do sometimes, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yep, I do.
So it's gotten better, but I've never been really. I always kept it as simple as I can keep it. I mean, I always just tried my best and just tried to keep it really simple, being realistic about it. Nowadays, just by listening to some of these people, like the way they, just sit in the truck and go down the road and kind of break down, like, man, what do you think about this and that, this and that? And some of them are like, God dang, you think about all that stuff in one run? Like, how can you even do that? Or just, I'm not making fun of no one, but everybody has their own way of doing things. Some people got coaches, which is good. Some people go see therapists, or some people do yoga. Everybody has their own thing,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just try to do the best I can. If I don't, it was something that I'd done wrong.
Yeah.
Try to fix it. And I got you talking about, you wanted a mental story. I do got one.
Yeah.
It just happened a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
This was in Fort Worth during the American qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
So the American qualifier, to get to the American, you have to qualify at a jackpot around the house or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you move on to Fort Worth. And there was, I don't remember how many teams, 180 teams, and then they only take, I think, 6. But anyway, you have to keep advancing through these rounds. So I was roping with Matt Sherwood. And the first round, I was a little bit late. We were kind of long, 5-something. The second round, we had to be pretty fast. We come back on 3-9. Anyway, we're good on 2, so we advance to the next round. It brings back, 24 probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third round, we made another good run. It was in the purse. So we advanced again, and we were the best on 2 or 3, however that deal works.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to go the very last team on Saturday night. And the next day, they brought the top 6 to the American. So anyway, it come down to the very last year, and we were the last team out. So there was 10 teams, so we get to watch all those teams go. And some of them did good, some of them messed up. But when it come to us, we just had to be cleaner, a clean run, any time. But we couldn't break the barrier. We could have maybe done it with the leg, but I couldn't break the barrier. That was by far the most nervous I've ever been. By far in my whole, whatever you call my career, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you call it. It was by far the most nervous I've ever been. I did. Yeah. So right before the loaded steer, I was like, well, I guess the only thing that went through my mind was, don't break the barrier. That was the only thing I could think of. So back in there, and the start there at Fort Worth happens pretty fast. Just get to let the steer's head come out, then you can kind of go after that. Anyway, the gate opened. First thing I did was pull the horse. So I'm late. Like, okay, well, I didn't break the barrier. Now just run up there, and I caught him and turned him, and Sherwood healed him. We made a clean run. But, it's not a very exciting story, and no one's going to really understand or relate to what I was feeling that day. Maybe some of the guys that were in that situation, or
Mm-hmm.
kind of can relate to the situation we're in, just because, man, it's so hard to go through all of that, from qualifying to going through the qualifying rounds, the semifinals, and coming to the last year, just wanting to get to the American. Just get to the American. So it was just like, every time you advance, like, okay, I got a step further, I don't want to screw up. Then you get to another step further, and you don't want to screw up. It's like a sports team being undefeated all year, and they come down to the championship. They're not really worried about winning the championship. They're just worried about staying undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, we qualified for the next day for the American, and that was just normal pressure.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. That was fun and whatever. But that night before, dude, man, wow.
Yep.
And Matt Sherwood, everybody knows Matt Sherwood. He's been around. He's been there and done that, world champion. He said, out of his whole career, that was the most nervous he's ever been to. He said, I've won I don't know how many world championships, this and that. I had to catch this steer in the last night of the NFR to win the world, and he said, it doesn't even get close to what we went through that night.
Yeah, that was nerve-wracking. I've been nervous for you a time or two, but I was very nervous for you then.
Yeah, but it's fun. That's the reason why we do it. Like, telling Sherwood, like, man, you know what? That was by far the most nervous I've ever been, but man, it's fun. And even when it doesn't work out, like, that's what we live for, I guess. That's the situations we want to be in.
This episode is brought to you by Manna Pro. Champions, colleagues, roommates, and personal trainers. Whatever role they play, they're an important part of our lives. In their quiet way and their not so quiet way, they keep us on our feet, on the go, they pull us back to nature, and push us toward the next adventure. And as much as we count on them, they count on us all the more, to nurture their lives with the same commitment, to protecting them, helping them grow and thrive, treating them as well as they treat us, by giving them a little more of our lives, because no matter what role they play, we're here to make their lives the best they can be. Manna Pro, nurturing life for generations. Check them out at mannapro.com or on Facebook at Manna Pro Horse.
The saying, if you do this for the money, you're in it for the wrong reasons. I think that's true or not?
I mean, yeah, because I think if all you're doing it for is the money, you're going to be disappointed. But at the same time, you have to run it like a business on the money side to be really successful and have something left after rodeo. What do you think? You weren't in it for the money, were you?
Maybe I should have been. Like I said, I'm maybe getting all wrong. I should have been in it for the money, and then I guess I should love winning too. Be addicted more to winning than the competition part. I'm learning something as we go. Might need to change my ways.
But I don't know. I think there certainly are people who are in it for the money. But I think if you're at this level, you aren't just in it for the money because you had to love it so much at some point to get good at it.
One thing I would like to know though is I was thinking, you know, what if I did have money, you know, like just a lot of money? I wonder if I would be better or worse. That's a question that I'll never know, but sometimes I always think about that, like, you know, what if I had like just money where I knew I could maybe buy this or buy that horse, or just, you know, just seems like it makes it easier. I don't know if it does or not. But I was wondering, you know, wonder if I'll be better or if I'll be worse. I'll never know that, but that's just the question I think about sometimes.
I think I guess I've seen you ride Kate before. I haven't seen you ride a lot of the, like, big money horses. I've seen you ride, like, you are so, do you feel as if your style has been defined by, like, swagger and paint and, like, the kind of horses that you've ridden most of your career? Like, would you adapt to a really fast... No, I mean, Begay was really fast, though. It's not like you rode junk. I don't mean to say it like that. But, like, the $150,000 head horses work... Like, do you think you would get along with Drigger's horses or Riley Minor's horse, or...
I don't know. I would hope I can.
Yeah.
Better, huh?
Have you jump rode? I mean, I know you've jump rode lots of good horses. So I don't know.
I don't remember the last time I rode someone else's horse.
Gosh, you rode Kate at Omaha a million years ago.
That was. I think I rode her one year. I rode Clay Trine's Little Sorrel at Ellensburg one year. And I rode Chad Masters, one of his sorrel horses at Pendleton, and that might have been it. So,
but I don't know if the horses are as much of a difference with the money for you as, like, the pressure. But I don't feel like you ever feel felt pressured to win. Were you telling me the story, or did I listen to it on a podcast about you not having money? Where did I hear that? About you having to borrow money from Turtle. Was that on, like, the Gauge, or was that...
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did bring up something like that when I was on the way to Cheyenne and only had a couple bucks in my account or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I must have heard that. Did you tell me that, or was on the Gauge, right?
That was on the Gauge. Yep. That's the only time I ever told that story. Is
I know I didn't know that story.
I was going from Deadwood to Cheyenne.
Mm-hmm.
And we stopped there at this gas station, Lusk, Wyoming, is where it was.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped there, and it was my turn to put in fuel, and I only found out I had $24 in my car, or $48 or something like that. So I lied to Turtle and told him that my card wasn't working for some reason. Anyway.
But did it stress you out? I don't feel like money ever stressed you out that much.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does. It does, and always does, and still does. But I don't ever really bank on rodeoing either. So, like, I went to Cheyenne the next day. We ended up winning the rodeo. But what if I didn't? It seems like when I really needed to win, that's when it all didn't. But sometimes I didn't win either, and I just figured out a different way how to keep going again. But it is stressful having no money and you need to win to go to the next one. But I think there is a difference between just trying to win to go to the next rodeo or trying to win to make a house payment or something. I think there is a big difference between that.
Mm-hmm.
I always had to win some to go to the next rodeo, and that's almost just kind of normal pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But having to win to pay for something that matters, that's a little bit different. I think that's more pressure, I think. But I don't know. I guess if I had to say, I think it sure helped me.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, maybe we should do some sort of test. I wonder if somebody could just help me out and give me, or let me borrow, or just give me. Hey, you know what? I'm doing an experiment. You know, I might need $300,000 to rodeo this year, and I just want to see if it makes me better or worse. You willing to help me out?
That's the best. This is a call for funding for Derrick Begay to rodeo.
Yeah, or we could play it on someone else too. Someone out there that rodeos that just has a lot of money. I know a few guys have a lot of money. Like, hey, I'm going to take this checkbook and this debit card away from you. Here, $500 this week. Go ahead and show me what you can do. And it might make them better too. I don't know.
Yeah, like, have you seen that? That's crazy that you say that. I've just started.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll find someone that has a lot of money, and we'll switch debit cards with them.
That's the best idea I've heard. Do you watch that show, Undercover Billionaire, where they take all the billionaires' money away and give them $100 and 90 days and drop them in a strange city, and they're not allowed to use any of their connections or any of their resources to build $1 million business? We should do that with rodeo, like.
Huh. Yeah, I've never seen that, but yeah, it'd be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we can do. Like the month of July, I'm going to switch places with someone. Like, okay, you give me your card, I'll give them. Give me your card, we'll swap.
That's the best idea. I love it. I don't know.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's just the fun part about thinking. I think about that just not very often, but every now and then, like, I wonder what I'd be like. And I bet it helps somebody, because there is a difference when you know and like, hey, man, I do have to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will help someone that has money.
I think.
Yeah. Like, hey, I'm going to pull these funds away from you, and you're going to have to win to go to the next rodeo. And if you don't win, you're going to have to figure out how to work. I think that's what a lot of these guys are missing nowadays, is when you have to go work to go pay for the rodeo part. that's when you're like, God dang, I'm sure can't screw up now. Because
Yeah.
I think there is some sort of a net or some sort of padding there that it's behind your head. Like, hey, if I don't do good, some guys don't even know how good they got it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I wouldn't trade places in the world with nobody than the way I did it or how I'm doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
It sure is nice to fantasize about it though every now and then, just like everybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll take the offer though. If somebody's willing to test.
Somebody wants to try it out.
Yeah.
It's like your gold buckle secrets. You can get somebody to the finals. Somebody who's wanted to go to the NFR all those years, all they have to do is take your debit card and hand you theirs, and that's going to be the secret.
Oh, dang.
You're providing a service. You could charge for it. Oh, man. Well,
it is fun to think about those kind of things.
Right?
I spend too many miles in the truck thinking about stuff like that.
Yep. Okay, so I let Derrick off the hook after that interview, and I told him he did a good job, because he did. But like I said, in true Begay fashion, he got to thinking about the topic and texted me that he had some more to add the next day. Here it is.
When I got the phone, I was thinking, like, man, I wonder, because I think a lot of, like, my mental strain, I think it comes kind of, I don't know if it sounds cocky when I say this, but, like, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just the way I was brought up or the way I was raised or the circumstances I had to deal with. I mean, nothing bad, but just, or how my dad made me do things or what he said at certain times or what he made me learn the hard way or, just, I think a lot of that goes back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got to thinking about all that. Like, after I got the phone with you, I was like, you know what? I was just talking about just that. Like, just to talk about. But I got thinking that, how is my mental strength? I was actually thinking about myself, how I go about things or what I do and this and that. But, so that's why.
Well, tell me more. Tell me more about what it was like and how your dad influenced your mental strategy.
Well, like my dad, he never really told me what to think or how to think, but it's just the things that he done to make me, I guess, I don't know, just the way I was raised, not even just in the arena, like outside the arena, just kind of, he made me figure out things on my own a lot. If I couldn't get it, yeah, he was there to help. But if I was trying to show some sort of other way out, he'd let me know.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time of actually trying to get this out of my head. That's another thing. So, but I think a lot of my mental strength is, like I said, kind of comes naturally,
Mm-hmm.
I think. So I don't think it's something that I really had to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's something I don't really have to practice or I don't have to try to make myself do it. And another thing that I think helps more than anything is when it comes to roping, it's just something that I always done and it's always been around and I always have a love for it. So it goes back to just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what helped me more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being in the environment I want to be around, the people, the competition, the animals. So when it comes down to all the pressure situations of what you got to do and how you got to do it, I think it kind of comes back to just have fun. I think that's when I feel most comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a guy at all different kind of angles. I mean, yeah, you got to have fun about it, but I just don't mess around and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Things you got to be serious about it, and this and that. So, and then another main thing that really helps me on my mental strength also is when it comes to team roping, you have a partner involved. So every time I got to go somewhere or try to win some or compete, I always think, man, there's a guy that's depending on me to catch this steer. So that thing sure helps me too. It puts pressure on you, but it's supposed to. And I think that's what helps me a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me see. I think not afraid to fail. When I say that, it means I could go somewhere and practice all week and go there and give it my all. Mm-hmm. But if I fail, I know I have a really good family,
mm-hmm.
and I think that has to have some kind of comfort inside my head, knowing that I've always got somewhere to go.
Yeah,
I can always go home when things go bad or don't win nothing or out of money or I know. I always had that support, and I still do. So that has to play somewhere in my head also.
Yeah.
So like I said, it hits you from all different areas when you start talking about what I think about, how I think about it. But I'm just trying to. I don't think about all those things at one certain moment when I'm ready to ride the logs. No, but it's just a feeling that I have going to compete somewhere.
Yeah, it's just like you just know those things. Those are just in you. Yeah.
I don't have to think about those things, but so I think those are the things that help me out more than anything.
More than like a specific mental strategy. Like you're not doing hypnosis or anything trying to get your mind right. Those are just things that are in you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I think back and to think about how I go about things. That's how it works. But when it comes to the actual time right before you ride in the box, I just try to keep it pretty simple. You have a horse, you have a steer, and your job is to turn the steer. So that, I'm sure somebody's trying to listen to try to get something out of this, but it's just there's really no trick to it. When it comes to my part anyway, I mean, to try to keep it pretty simple. It seems like when you go to practice at home, that's when you can think about all the little things about what should I do here, how do I do this, the certain angles, and the certain different pinpoints of the actual run. I think you can work on all that at home. But then when you go somewhere, I think you kind of, you have all those in mind, but I think you're supposed to just go do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derrick, we should do this more often. Thank you so much.
This is the part where they say, sure, yeah, anytime.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to say. Yes, anytime.
Well, I guess you're welcome.
Okay, I will see you in Greeley.
I hope so.
I hope so too. All right, talk to you later.
Okay, see
Bye.
you.
Thank you all for listening to this episode of The Score. If you loved it, leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening. Shoot me an email at cschaefer@equinenetwork.com. Can't wait to see y'all down the road. Thank you all so much for listening to today's episode. It is brought to you by Manna Pro, nurturing life for generations. Check them out at mannapro.com or on Facebook at Manna Pro Horse.